Good morning, everybody. It is
Howdy.
Thursday, August 27th, 2020. How are you today?
I am doing well. Good morning.
It's another day on the bay,
Another day on the bay.
right?
Yeah, it's in fact today's day in history. Good place to start. The famous Krakatoa explosion took place on one of the small islands of Indonesia, which is in the Pacific Ocean. And what an explosion it was. It was this day in history in 1883. And on some of the statistics from the explosion, it was heard 3,000 miles away. That's one of
So
them.
that's like if it went off in California, over here in New York, we would catch that.
We would
pop.
catch it.
Yeah.
And it shot 5 cubic miles of earth, 50 miles up into the air. So just imagine 50 miles away and you're shooting it straight up. That's the force. Also, one of the most deadliest parts of this explosion was the waves that it created.
Right.
Tsunamis of 120 feet. And I believe out of the 36,000 people that were killed, 31,000 of them were killed by the waves. So that's...
See, that scares me, I think, almost more.
Tsunamis?
Remember? Yeah. Do you remember, I don't know what year it was, but those
A
big
few years
tsunamis,
back, and it was, yeah,
and it like hit
all around the
all
earth.
around, everywhere.
Yeah.
Oh, my Lord.
Yeah, tsunamis are a major, I mean, because, they're just any living on Long Island, obviously, we're always, we're in the group that usually gets hit when you're talking about something along the coast. And, yeah,
We're
tsunamis
just
are
super
scary.
fortunate, though, that we don't have those faults.
Yes, because that's really what creates
We
a lot
wouldn't
of
exist.
issues. Also, out of the 36,000, 4,500 of these people were scorched to death. So, it was a terrible
Inferno.
tragedy, 1883, Krakatoa,
So-
one of the islands of Indonesia.
A few weeks ago, I was watching the story of Pompeii,
Okay,
and it's not
another
something-
explosion.
It's not
of it.
something I've looked at in a long time, maybe
Yeah.
since like middle school.
Yep.
And back then, they just weren't aware of what the damage, like how the
course.
volcano comes at you.
Yeah,
So they built this civilization
right around.
right on it.
Yeah.
So in some cases, actually on the volcano.
Yeah.
And it was just such an amazing depiction of like the wealthy societies that were
Yep.
just like eating grapes, drinking wine, having orgies.
Yeah,
I mean, that's really what it was.
Frozen in time.
Yeah.
When
And they were like, should we leave? Should we not leave? I think we'll be fine.
Yeah.
And before you know it, it's snowing.
I know. It's scary when you see some of the people, like the horror on their faces when they're looking. Now, what's interesting too about Pompeii is that, no matter what era your child has gone to school, and some of us are older than others, and it seems like every kid that you bring up Pompeii to, they always know, like, that explosion. It's just one of those things that
It's just ingrained.
Yeah,
It's in the
'cause-
schools. It's in the syllabus.
Yes, and the kids just seem to resonates with them. So
What takes my breath away though is when you see like the two skeletons or something. They're all
Yeah.
they were sleeping.
Yeah,
and they were
it
just
was-
like encased
it was
in
horrific.
time.
They've done some good reenactments of it.
Yeah.
And just to see the how life was carrying on, and all it just totally to see these people frozen in time. It's
Unbelievable.
yeah. So.
And that really impacted quite a large area as
Oh,
well.
sure.
Sure.
Yeah, it's nowadays. It's like I said, it's just something that throughout history now it's been generation after generation after generation are familiar with it. And
One thing that's pretty amazing to me is when a super volcano, just a large volcano erupts, thunder and lightning form
it's
from the pressure
incredible.
of the friction, I guess
Yeah,
it is.
it's incredible.
It's so terrifying.
And now
Natural disasters are real. I mean, if you look at... Oh, no, go ahead. I don't
no,
wanna
it's
cut
really
you.
nothing. I was just going to say Krakatoa is still active, right?
Correct.
So, man,
As is Yellowstone, as is pretty much
very
more than
scary.
we would like to admit, I
Very
think.
scary.
And it's something that we don't think about nearly enough, I don't think.
No.
We don't have any kind of response. You know what I mean?
I mean, there's really not much that you can do aside from just not building anywhere near, and it,
Well, they say, I mean, I'm sure you've
can you
heard this.
cap them off, I guess, or there's got to be, I mean, I don't know what can stop that kind of force. I mean, you're dealing with Mother Nature and the earth, and I don't think
That's
there's
a
anything.
fact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just think when it's going to go, and there's not much that, aside from building near it, but people, people still build near fault lines, and they still build on the coast.
Yeah,
and they,
I remember being in. This was like some of my most favorite years of science was Earth science, and I remember we were learning about the San Andreas Fault.
Yeah, yep.
California, that's a risky place to live.
California's has its share of natural disaster potential. That's for sure. Yeah. So, I also some other interesting things that I was listening to this morning. I see a lot of the athletes are now chiming in with the shooting that took place in Kenosha, Wisconsin. The NBA, it seems to be leading the way now in this fight. The NBA, the NFL, and canceling games now is their response. Thus far, I don't know if they're going to go a step further. It's just there are some questions that I would just like to ask, and not even point out my answer or how I feel about it, but I just think it's just things that I notice in these discussions that I hear and the response. My first question would be, and I'm really curious about people's feedback about this. Let's say the gentleman reaching into the car or going, just trying to get into his car. Let's say he was a documented child molester, pedophile, just had a rampant history of just despicable crime. Let's say this person happens to get shot and killed.
Right.
The protests that are taking place, the anger that the NBA canceling games. How would I just wonder how the public would respond in a case like that? If it was somebody that was killed who was just a despicable person, would it still be the same response?
What I would say is that's not justice. That's not.
That's why I want to hear people's feedback.
Yeah.
I'm just curious.
For me, I would say it's not the police's responsibility to be the judge, jury, and the executioner.
Yeah.
However, they do have to defend themselves.
Right.
But were they in a position at that moment where they had to defend themselves like that?
Yeah.
I still don't know.
Yep.
And I think this is the problem with these types of events is that there are so many facts that they give you, and there's so many facts that they hold back. Now, I've read across the board that the gentleman that was shot, I don't know if he's a gentleman, but let's call him that, that was shot, had a pretty hefty record of domestic violence, domestic disputes, rape. And I don't want to toss mud at the guy, but this is what's on the internet.
Yeah.
So
that's the problem.
I know they're launching a civil rights investigation on this, and
well, obviously a full-scale investigation should take place.
Absolutely.
It was horrific. But
the problem is that people take to the streets now before they know anything.
Yeah. Well,
so
I just
just like I believe Rayshard Brooks was his name, the guy that took the gun and started shooting at the cops.
Yes.
Everyone freaked out before they even saw the whole video.
Yeah. I think you had a good point in the beginning, really, that it's not, it's not the police's role to play like a vigilante and take it into their own hands, and I would agree with that, because then, where does it stop? That's the problem. But
I know one thing I know is that law is old.
Yeah.
And these things that we're running into are not new concepts.
No. No, this is America throughout the history of time. America's actually relatively calm compared to what past. Past.
I don't know if I want to get into this today, but in maybe another day or so, whatever. I'm going to go over some statistics from the Civil War.
Yep.
And I want to share with people the actual numbers of casualties that resulted from that war.
It's important.
We're not going to go into it today because I'm not prepared.
It deserves its own episode.
But it deserves an episode because we are
some preparation. But
correct.
Go ahead. I would like to hear some of your. Do you have any of the statistics?
Well, what I could say is if anybody, wants to get into a little bit of a hole.
Yeah.
Look at the events of the 1850s and early 1860s that led up to
prior to the Civil War.
Yeah. So I was talking to a friend yesterday about the word populism. And I think that's a word you don't hear thrown around enough today.
Right.
But in fact, that's exactly what we're living. You're on a side, you pick a side, End of story.
And that's it.
And that's what happened in the Civil War.
That
it was
side
a
could do no
populist
right or wrong.
explosion.
And could do no wrong, basically, whatever
Correct.
side you pick. Yeah.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
And it's dangerous. And if you look, most cases when populism becomes a real, takes a foothold,
Yeah.
bad things come from it. You turn on your neighbors, you turn on your brother, you turn on your, and so.
Well, that's the issue that I see. I'm just listening to the radio today driving over here, and it was a black guy, was an athlete. I don't know which athlete it was because I didn't catch his name, but he was ranting about a coach, a white coach, had come on the airwaves and had said, I guess he was just against what was going on with the protests, and this athlete was livid, and he was calling the coach, a liar, and until America is equitable and fair to minorities and blacks, that's when this will stop. Now, my question, again, to me, there's just a lot of questions that have to be answered, and I would ask blacks, people, not all blacks, because not all blacks feel this, but the blacks that do. My question is, when will it be equitable? Are you waiting till there's absolutely no black people killed by police, like zero? And what about, does that also mean then no white people, no Native Americans, no Hispanic, like zero? Like what constitutes
equity?
Yeah, and that's really what I want to know. And I'm not saying it to be sarcastic or to be. I truly want to know.
Useful.
Yeah, I truly want to know.
That's a useful question.
What defines, because let's say it gets to a point where zero blacks are killed, and which hopefully would be the case. I mean, that is the goal, obviously. But then 3 white people happen to get killed by police. Is that
nobody jumps up in arms when that happens?
But if that were the case, then should whites, or let's say 3 Spanish people were killed, no blacks, no whites, should the Spanish people then take to the streets, destroy things because society, because law enforcement isn't equitable? I mean, I just don't know what, it's like they're waiting for this thing. The guy was just, ranting about it, until law enforcement treats blacks fairly, until American society is equitable. And I just don't know what it is, because
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. When you're going to take a police test, or you're going to take any type of exam, and they're giving blacks or minorities, there's quotas to be filled, so they're getting an advantage going into that test. Does that have to be done away with then to make it equitable, or are you asking for more things to be given to minorities, less to whites? Then it's at what? I just don't think that this equitable society that they're talking about, I don't think anybody could really put their finger on it and say what they actually want. I would like to know, because then I could support it if it's something that's, I'm sorry to ramble.
I'm thinking right now.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm almost at a loss for words.
Yeah. I just found it that I hadn't heard that really yet about, we're looking for it to be equitable, and it's then it popped in my head. And there are a lot of things weighted in today's society against, when whites go in for jobs, for instance, and you're filling things out on applications, there's no way that you're filling out, being black, white, Hispanic, that those numbers are not being used for something. And I just, are you saying that it's fair that if white people and black people are totally equal, then you got to do away with affirmative action. You got to do away with these things, or else it's not equal. So,
well, this is the problem when you're dealing with the other side.
Yeah,
is that they don't really have good answers either.
No, there's just a lot of questions.
There's nothing but.
Yeah, but you're certainly not going to get answers with anger. You're not going
to use your best tool, which is your brain.
Yeah.
And I got to say, one thing I noticed that's kind of disgusting to me is that now everybody is coming out as if they're like like Gandhi.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to be like on this pedestal of preaching social justice,
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
I don't want to hear anything from anybody telling me anything.
Right.
Because I don't know you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And who knows? Well, yeah.
What you've done,
Yeah.
what your record is.
Yeah.
Like,
They could just have a guilty conscience for their own
anybody
feelings.
could get on a platform and speak.
Yeah. No, that's the point. It's like, it's like when somebody quits smoking cigarettes.
Sure.
If somebody's forcing you to try, to quit, most of the time it's not
You
going
have
to work.
to want it.
You got to be the one to say, that's it, I'm at my limit, I'm quitting, or else it doesn't work. So people trying to force other people by this, it's I just don't see it being conducive to coming up with a solution. And it gets me more and more angry, and then I want to lash out at the other side because I just think it's wrong. But I'm trying to just, instead of watching it continuously and getting involved, there's so much more. You know what? Screw the NBA. I won't watch it anymore. I don't
They
care.
could eat shit.
The Knicks suck every year. The team I like. I mean,
Yeah.
what the hell?
There's
I
always
can trust-
hockey.
And I don't need to take what these athletes like I'm listening to this radio station and the bozo hosts of the radio station. Oh, well said when this guy was talking about equitable society, but they don't ask him any questions. Like,
No.
what is it that you're
They just
actually
pander,
Yeah, he says,
pander.
I wanted equitable. Well, that's a good, answer. You're right, but what the hell does that mean? Equitable,
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Well,
Zero. What,
We
like-
visited the Black Lives Matter website maybe last week it
Yeah.
was, and their list of demands on the site where we talked about it,
Mm-hmm.
but they essentially say they're not going to stop until they reach equity, but there's no
Yeah.
bullet points
Right.
on how to reach that.
I would like to see hard data as to what that is. Is it okay then if 5 white people are killed by police but no blacks? Does that mean it's fair? Or what about if it's like...
Well, at what point are police going to stop reporting the work?
Yes. Right.
At what point are cops? I mean, it's coming.
Yeah.
It's like we said a week ago. It's a ticking time bomb until this happens again. And
Yeah.
what happened?
Yep.
It happened again. And we're not rocket scientists. I'm sure everybody out there is kind of thinking the same thing. But it's becoming where every time this happens, they're chipping away at the police more. They're chipping
Yeah.
away at the police more. They're chipping away at the police more. But every year, blacks are killed, Asians are killed, whites are killed, women are killed.
Yep.
Everyone gets killed.
Yep. But you're it's the constant barrage online of seeing, black, 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 black. It's like, to me, it's just the people that are on the fence with this whole thing, you're just going to push them against what you want. Now, there's a woman that I went to high school with, and, she adopted a child from Haiti. So she's white, her child's black, and she's become, and I, there's nothing wrong with wanting things for your child, and I respect that as a parent. But she's become so far now to this pursuit of like social justice for blacks that, she'll just put this ridiculous, people have these postings and, no wonder they march. Because it's like, no, they're not marching, they're destroying property.
Things that have nothing to do.
Like,
Right.
I don't...
What's happening is what's happening. And what you're seeing is I believe it was
CNN,
yesterday or the day before, you had this kid drive 20 miles across state lines with a machine gun
Right.
to defend businesses. And what did he do? He opened fire on people because he believed they were destroying. And right away, what is he? He's a white supremacist and he's a Nazi. And
you can't have this vigilantism, though.
no, but you know what, though? And this is what I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not the president. I'm not the governor. I don't know what I'm
Yeah.
talking about, to be honest. But what I will say is the other side sure as hell is doing vigilante work.
Yeah, they're not
In their
opening
mind.
fire. Yeah, I mean, again, when you...
They're throwing
Yeah.
balloons filled with feces
Yeah.
at police in the midst of a pandemic. Not
Yeah.
just at police, at anybody who is not a part of what they're doing.
Right.
They're burning buildings
Well,
down.
that'll
They're
never be
attacking news
reported on.
headquarters that support them.
Yeah.
They are. I mean, I really am so sick and tired of this crap. I don't even want to talk about it
No, me
anymore.
neither.
And to be honest with you,
Me neither.
I
You can't get away from it though.
You
Like I
can't.
figured, instead of listening to unfortunately the radio stations play the same playlists for the last 30 years. So like listening to a radio station, I can't deal with the urban stations with the nonsense. I can't deal with it. So I figured I'll put sports radio on this morning, and
Sure
the
enough.
entire show was talking about this, and it's like, you know what? I just shut everything off.
bear
and,
in
like,
mind it's also a heated election season.
Yeah, well, that's everything.
And I think
is,
that's a huge part
Yeah,
of
it is. But I don't think that this will go away.
No. No.
Election season or not, this is but it's just you really can't. Sports used to be an escape, and that's why it's so steeped in American culture, because when things were going on, war,
When we were busy saving the world from Nazis.
right, or there were other things that happened. Sports was like a coming together for people, and now it's like, thank God for hockey. That's all I could say, because it's some sports just
Hockey's
stay
killing
out of
it.
politics like they should, and
Well, again, I always go back to Ricky Gervais, and I'm sure me and this guy couldn't be more different.
yeah,
But what he did say was, come up at the Golden Globes. Come up,
Yeah.
get your award, and get the hell out of here. Thank
Right.
your God, thank your mommy.
Yeah.
But save your political rhetoric for someone else, because none of you
yeah,
are in a position to tell anyone how to live their life.
no.
And I say the same thing to athletes. I say the same thing to anybody. Everyone
No.
needs to live and let live.
Well, that's what it is, and until you walk in other people's shoes, there's too much of this going on today, but people are pushed to it. It's like a lot of these athletes are brainwashed. They get hijacked by these groups, and they're forced to feel like they have to say something. And
my concern is that when you look at who's really pushing these agendas, it's all kind of entertainment industries that are backed by megabucks.
yeah.
And so I always
You have
wonder.
to chase the money, follow the money, and then you're always going to know what the actual cause is that you're supporting.
But rewinding back to populism, unfortunately, because one side and the other side really doesn't jive,
Right.
nobody's going to
No.
to research.
No, there's no,
Something that's interesting though is I'm going to just use this was from Tim Pool. Conservatives are more likely to watch the RNC and the DNC than Democrats are likely to watch the RNC and the DNC.
Yeah, we said this yesterday. I know.
I know. I'm coming back to it though. I find it. I don't know if
yeah.
there's any truth to it, but
Yeah.
the numbers speak for themselves. And
So
I think
he
people
has
are trying.
data on that.
I think people are trying to figure out the viewership.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I know I mentioned it, but
Well, that's supported in general because when you try to discuss it, I'm not going to attack. Like if I was talking to this woman, like I told you, that had adopted that child, I'm not going to sit and personally go after her.
No.
Anytime I've ever brought it up, or she brought it up, or I commented on something, or it was like instantly, she was insulting me and saying, like,
Yep.
first of all, you don't know me well enough to make a judgment. Just because I don't agree with you doesn't make me, a racist or make me this. It just means I think that you're not looking at it deep enough and really coming up with a more comprehensive solution. So regardless, like I said, it's just you can't escape it though a lot of times. So I think really, just I'll spend a lot of time with family, and my wife and I watched some movies and lately, and but if you're going to turn on the TV, and like I said, I like sports, I'll try to listen to sports. You just can't get away from this crap, and it's like, man, oh man, So, but like you said, the election season things are only going to heat up in this country.
Yeah, we're only just getting started.
Yeah, yep.
And I think for me, the phrase of the day is populism, and I want anyone who watches this who isn't familiar with what that means to really look into it.
Yeah.
Because it's a dangerous road. And I got to be honest, and I've said this before, I might repeat myself, but this is a part of it. I don't like the Republican status quo. I don't like the Democrat status quo. And that is the reason why I support Trump, is because I don't find him to really be one or the other.
Right.
I know people love to
Sure.
put people in a box.
Yes, they do.
But I truly find Trump to be more progressive than people give him credit for.
Yeah. Yeah.
And ultimately, that's what I'm going to vote for. I want a mixture. I want a hybrid mixture of freedom and progressivism.
Yeah.
I don't understand why you can't have both.
Well, you're not getting a lifetime politician with him, and that's just, that's appealing to. That's. I'll tell you, the numbers. He was. A lot of people had him dead and buried. A few weeks back, and now apparently Kamala Harris did a lot more damage to that ticket than she did good, because the numbers just right away went.
I think
you haven't seen her though since the DNC.
Nope.
They basically
they're in the
told
basement.
They told her to pack up and go home until election
Yeah,
time.
stay tight,
Yeah. Which
Well,
is interesting, because I think they thought they were going to roll her out.
It was going to be a parade.
And she was just going to give speech after speech and show up, and it's not looking like that now. So I don't know if that was the wisest choice.
I don't think that they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
I think that they're running around spewing ideas that don't connect points.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. It should be interesting. You said you had a good burger last night. I wanted to ask you what kind of burger you had.
It's a good change of pace. I wasn't ready for that.
Yeah. Figured I'd just get off politics a little bit before. I was just curious. I was thinking about it, and it's rare you get to go out to a good restaurant nowadays too. So,
well,
first of all, what was seating like in there? Give me that. All
right, so you walk
what did I
in.
walk into?
You walk in.
Okay.
You have to have your mask on.
Okay.
While you're on your feet, you need to have a mask on.
Okay.
So, it's again just like pish posh. That doesn't
Gotcha.
make much sense.
Okay.
You go in, the bar's there, and there's plexiglass plates every 2 seats.
Yes.
So buzzkill right off the bat. I understand that, but it's again like
Okay.
plexiglass doesn't. The bacteria does what it wants.
It's not a very appetizing thing
It's
either.
just very odd.
So-
So we took a table,
Okay.
and everyone was cool. Everyone was nice. The waiters were having masks on. We were able to.
How were people seated? Was it every other?
Yeah, sort of.
Okay.
Sort of like that, and yeah, it was okay. It's weird. Like you said before, you can't escape it.
When the waitress comes over, or waiter, how does that go? Is she
I
wearing?
actually
or he
knew the
wearing-
waiter, and
Okay.
we ended up having a great conversation,
Yeah.
and we were kind of
Through
both.
masks.
I wasn't. He was.
Oh, okay.
So I guess that's like the new hospitality.
Okay.
Like the guest doesn't have to wear it, but the wait staff does.
I'm surprised that they allow you. That's I wore a mask. I mean, actually, I forgot when I went into 7-Eleven yesterday. I didn't even realize. I went back to the car. I thought I grabbed the mask, and then I came out, and I'm like, I knew I was missing something.
Right.
And nobody said anything, but
Everyone's thinking it.
That was I thought they weren't allowing people even into restaurants. That's how far out of the loop I am. So now you're allowed in.
You're allowed in. You can eat. You
Okay.
can drink.
Okay. But you're just separated.
But it's just weird.
Yeah.
It's just bizarre.
So there's plexiglass. Like if I was in a diner, there's plexiglass separating
at
each
the
booth?
bar, I would say.
Okay,
You
but
know,
not
like
in,
the-
what
not-
about in the booths?
No.
Okay. All right.
No. So we took a table, and
Okay.
I do the bacon mushroom Swiss,
Oh,
medium rare.
That's delish.
Yeah.
Delish.
The Swiss
man.
cheese is a little heavy, I gotta say, but
Yeah.
I mean, once in a while, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah,
And I
you
gotta
can't
say,
eat a good burger.
a huge test is if you go to a restaurant, you order a burger medium rare, and it comes out perfect. You know you got yourself a winner. Stay
Why
loyal.
is that? Now, this is coming from a chef, so you do that for a living. So explain to me why. Myself, I don't see the, if I order medium, I'm hoping it should come out medium, but what does that tell you about the cook?
The guy that's cooking's got to put together. He knows what he's doing. Oftentimes in kitchens, people will say, "Oh, I'm the executive chef of this and that."
Right.
Okay, go cook me a medium rare burger, and I'll see you in 5 minutes or whatever, 8 minutes. And if they can't do that, they're not getting the job, or they're certainly taking a pay cut.
What are they just quickly like yanking it off or like?
Sometimes, well, first of all, when you throw a nice patty or steak on the grill, you got to give it. First of all, the grill's got to be scorching hot.
Yes.
And what happens is when you put that meat on the grill, it
Okay.
sticks initially.
Yes.
So if you go to lift it and flip it too quick, it's going to rip the burger in half.
Gotcha.
So you need to have that timed right so that you know that that burger is going to come off the flat top or the grill, whatever it is, and not stick. Mm-hmm. The second thing is you don't have to touch it. You only need, like, let's say you're cooking a steak. You only have to touch that steak 4 times in the course of cooking it.
See, that's where I make my error when I cook like a good piece of meat. I never know, like, do you flip it? Is it better not to flip it? Like, you know.
The rule is you always start with a scorching hot pan, grill.
So it's hot upon, when you lay it down, you want
to hear it going.
Okay, got it.
You also need to season it. If you don't, beforehand, it's just not quite the same.
Yeah.
The second thing is, like I said, you only have to touch it 4 times, and basically, that's, you know, when you get those grill marks that look like diamonds. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay.
That's
something else that I'm not too keen with.
Yeah, so it's like 1 o'clock and 5 o'clock. That's how you get those marks. You always have to visualize that.
Sometimes it just looks so good the way they do it. It's like,
and it
part of the
second
presentation.
Nature.
Yeah.
The other thing is that when that meat's coming up to that temperature, it's going to tell you. It speaks to you almost.
Yeah.
Because it starts to bead blood. Little bits of blood start seeping out of the surface of it.
Okay.
At that point, it's coming up to rare, medium rare. So you know that right off the bat. If you want a well-done steak, it's the easiest thing in the world. You don't pay attention to that. You just let it go until it looks dark enough for you.
Can I tell you why this is so important to me? Because as a kid, you know, obviously my mother had she was just nervous, you know, about us getting sick from the meat not being cooked enough.
Sure.
But I was probably, until I was an adult, I never had a burger or a steak cooked anything other than well done. So I never really liked steak because I just never, and I mean, when I say well done, it was, you know, the outside was almost burnt, and then the inside was just that dark gray.
Yeah, for me, can't do it.
And it, you know, again, she did it for safety reasons, but man, when I had my first steak that was, you know, medium or
cooked to perfection.
Oh my God, it was, you know, insane. So I just, you know, I definitely, it was something that I can appreciate more as I've gotten older. So
to me, it's, you know, remember we were doing the Turkish coffee, and I said, "Oh, it's beautiful."
Yeah.
And you were like, "Oh, you see it that way."
Yeah.
And it's true. I don't know what it is, but when it comes to food,
for a chef,
I find it's so
it's an art
amazing.
form almost.
There's so many things about the culinary world that I like that I don't think a lot of people think about.
Yeah.
One of them is that food is like the oldest thing ever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Since the dawn of man, we had to eat.
Yeah. No, chefs take this stuff like it's...
I think about all this.
Yeah.
And I also have had...
That's why you're a good chef.
...several experiences in my life that were life-changing, from sitting down at a table and having a dinner.
A good meal, yeah.
So I'm going to tell you a quick Ecuador story.
Okay.
We met this really nice family down there. It was my friend's wife's parents.
Okay.
And they were really hospitable. They were so nice. And I've never eaten, at this point, rabbit. This was years ago. So
I've never had rabbit, so yeah.
In Spanish, it's conejo.
Okay. Tasty?
When it's prepared right, oh yeah.
Okay.
It's phenomenal.
I'll let you finish your story, and then I'm going to have some questions about rabbit since I've never had it.
Absolutely. So we came in. The wife prepared, I think it was 2 or 3, because, you know, they're not the biggest things in the world.
Yeah, especially if they're probably wild caught.
She roasted them with these beautiful potatoes and in the pan, and they soak up the juice.
That's another chef thing. I've never described food as beautiful.
I see. It's art to me.
You and your brother, whenever you guys talk about food, I had a beautiful pepper with it, or a beautiful, like, I'm just like, yeah, it was a good, you know, it was a pepper. Like, you guys, and that's, I respect it, but that's why you're a good chef. Do you know what a big part
of it is? When you get, let's say, a produce order.
Yes.
Okay, so at my previous job, we would order, let's say, in a busy week, 20 cases of jumbo asparagus.
Okay.
If I get half of those cases and they're a little disgusting, they gotta go.
They gotta, yeah.
And if I put that product out, it's a reflection on me. So unless it's beautiful, I'm not taking it.
Okay.
And it's almost like a militant thing in my head.
No, but
it's
appreciated by, you know, people.
That's what you want cooking.
Right,
for you.
Exactly. And that's, you know, but that's what makes a good chef, you know.
100%.
Yeah. You actually care about the product that you're putting out.
And it could be a mushroom, it could be a steak, it could be, everything has its place.
Yeah. But I've noticed it. I've noticed you say it. And I said, wow, this guy really cares about his what he's putting in his mouth or what he's giving to, and that's that's good. Speaks highly of you then in your profession. So
I truly love it. And going back to the Ecuador thing, so I had the rabbit. It was prepared for me, and this family was super sweet. And they were, at the time I was really speaking a lot of Spanish because
How did the rabbit come out? What did it look like?
It was roasted in a pan. It was whole.
Okay.
It had its head removed.
Okay. So it almost is like a roast, like it's just
correct in a pan, potatoes, onions, and it's just such a natural tasting meat, and it's oftentimes very stringy. In a sense, it's because it's so muscular.
Yeah.
So there's certain things you could do to actually.
Is it tough because it's muscular?
If you don't know what you're doing, sure.
Yeah. Okay.
But there's things you could do, like you could.
What color is the meat? Is it a dark meat?
It's like a dark meat.
Dark meat.
But there's things you could do. You could steam it ahead of time for a long time, and that tenderizes the meat.
Okay.
You can brine it, which is like a saltwater solution with some different
When you
herbs.
say stringy, as you're pulling the meat off, it's like kind of...
It's just like fibrous.
Okay, got it. I understand.
Because they're long and they
got
jump. But it is, when prepared right...
I think my father's eaten it and spoken about it. His family cooked a lot of Italian, and I think rabbit is a big...
I know just about like every trick in the book to take something that's not palatable and turn it in.
Sure.
That's what we get paid to do.
Yeah.
And with like the French, really, I know, whatever how you feel about the French, but they just put it to you this way: it's written in the French Constitution how to make French baguettes. There's a certain length, and there's a certain, so that's how serious that they take their cuisine.
Sure.
And it's, like, I don't know if it's criminal if you violate that, but it's law.
Yeah, but it's definitely something that they...
but they understand how to take just about anything and turn it into something beautiful.
Yeah.
And
I want to hear more about this rabbit. I want to know what it tasted like.
Well, what I would say is, like, one of the best things you could do with it is braise it. Do you know
what does braising mean? I don't know.
Braising is like you sear the meat.
Mm-hmm.
You take some beef stock.
Okay.
You take some wine. You combine them and you reduce it slowly.
Okay.
And you don't cover the meat. Like, you're not making a soup.
Okay.
It's like halfway to the top of the meat.
Okay.
And you like 250 degrees, 225 degrees for like 3 hours.
Yep.
It's just.
Is it eaten a lot, rabbit, in that country? Is it
Ecuador?
Yeah. Or is it just something that they?
Yeah, I mean they love guinea pig. They eat. And they call it cuy.
Cuy. Okay.
And I've eaten that 2 times as well when I was down there. Once in a restaurant, once at a mountaintop farm. And it was just amazing.
Wow.
What they do is with the cuy, they have these like spit roasters
where
there's like 5 wooden stakes on it.
Oh,
like a railroad nail. And they put the guinea pigs on all 5, and you have to stand there, drink your beer.
Wow.
It's awesome. And it tastes like a little roasted pig. It's salty by nature.
Yeah.
It's just that way.
Interesting.
And oftentimes a good sign of the quality is they keep the liver inside of it.
Okay.
And there will be little bits of grass.
No kidding.
Yeah,
wow.
I mean, so you go into someone's backyard.
Fascinating to me. This is like, it's really interesting.
If you go to like someone's backyard in like a hilltop area over there, you know how we have chicken coops?
Yeah.
They have guinea pig coops.
Wow. How big are the guinea? Are they bigger over there?
Like
do they? Okay.
Like this, and of course they feed them, and they they take good care of them. Actually, it's not. And another funny thing is that they keep like cinder blocks on their kitchen counter. Because they take the guinea pigs inside. If you're sensitive to this kind of stuff, you might as well turn this off.
Sure.
But they'll just take them and they smash their little heads right on the cinder block. But it's quick.
Yeah.
It's really quick.
I just can't.
They come in there like kicking. It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's life.
I don't have the. Look, you got somebody. If you're a meat eater and you eat meat, somebody along the way has to be the one to do the deed.
Correct, and no one's better than anyone else.
Yeah.
If you eat the meat, you're
right.
Yeah.
I couldn't take the things life. I wouldn't want it. But I guess if I'm cooking crab or a lobster, it's essentially the same thing. So.
Right. So who are we to judge?
Yeah. So anyway, So they really you'll see cinder blocks on their
one cinder block, or sometimes it could be like a fancy whatever.
And it's for the guinea pig.
Bludgeoning
it's for the guinea pig.
Absolutely.
Oh my goodness! Wow.
And so they take it outside. You have your beer, you have your cocktail, whatever it is. You're looking at the beautiful landscape, and you're roasting away these little baby pigs. And when they come out, their skin is crispy as a pig would be.
Sure, sure.
And you usually served whole. They cut it up into some pieces, and they serve it with these giant kernels of corn and potatoes.
Oh.
And to give you an idea of why they do this, this is almost like a religious,
Yeah.
like our Thanksgiving
Sounds
turkey.
amazing.
You know, on Thanksgiving, everyone eats a turkey.
Yes.
Well, down there, this cooey, the guinea pig, it goes back millennia.
Sure.
And it was eaten by the ancients, and
Wow.
so it's a real serious thing. Like,
Yeah.
you don't insult that down there; they will take it personally.
Wow.
Yeah. And
Huh.
my favorite bit of it is the little thigh. You know how the thigh is
Yeah,
always
yeah,
just
yeah.
that tasty bit?
Yeah, yeah.
Man, like it's like
Wow.
a chicken wing, and it's just like a chicken wing on crack.
Now it
It's
looks
great.
like the meat itself looks like pork, more or less, or what are you looking at?
I don't know how else to describe it
Yeah.
other than being like a whole little roasted pig,
Okay. Okay.
like a micro piggy.
Wow.
So maybe that's why they call them guinea pigs. I don't know.
So interesting.
It really is. I gotta say, one of the best experiences of my, and everyone told me at the time, don't go, don't do it.
Yeah, I know.
And the best thing I ever did was do it.
Yeah.
Was to go down there. I went with $1,000 in my pocket,
Yeah.
and I stayed there for 2 months. And
You were there that long, 2 months. Wow.
2 months. No one spoke a word of English.
That's a great trip.
Everyone had drive stick shift.
Now you brought your guitar, right?
I did. And I actually sat there and I played it while looking at this mountain when I went to this resort called Vilcabamba. Not a resort, it's a town.
Yeah.
The resort was called Ishkaluma. And it was run by this kind of like German hippie.
Okay.
Very strange. Long dreadlocks. He lived on the top floor of this beautiful resort. I'll show you some pictures.
Yeah,
of it. It's
yeah.
really amazing. And you're literally like, when you see like mountains, and
Yeah.
it's that. And so the dining area is like communal, and they serve German food. But it was
Wow.
like phenomenal. The Spätzle, I'll never forget. It's cheese.
You see
and
a lot of
lardons.
German in South America,
Absolutely,
there's a lot,
especially
yeah.
in like
Brazil,
like
Argentina.
affluent or
yeah.
more affluent areas.
Yeah.
They tend to flock
Yes.
there. Not to say they're not everywhere else. They are.
Yeah.
But the guy was total like this resort was like world class.
Yeah.
And this guy's walking around, hanging out,
Yeah,
talking
yeah,
to the
yeah.
guests, like super nice.
Wow.
I mean, it's a different world. And to let you know, I remember walking down the steps from the dining hall, going back to our little hostel at the ass end of this resort. Mm-hmm. And I got news Robin Williams died.
Oh wow.
There was the couple from Colorado who was like walking up the
Oh.
steps, and they were, oh my God, Robin Williams. I didn't even have my phone. I didn't
Sure.
know anything. That was the first news that I got from America.
Wow.
You know, was that Robin Williams passed away. But
Wow.
back to the guitar, there's this mountain down there,
Mm-hmm.
and we actually got lucky staying in this little because they have like suites, nice luxury rooms,
Mm-hmm.
but then they have these hostels that are literally like river stones that they use brick and so you're literally staying like a stone hut. The shower's stone. It's
Wow.
amazing.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
And there was
Great
this
trip.
mountain right in the back that's legendary down there called Modongo. And it looks like a man sleeping on his side,
Wow.
and you can clearly see it. And it's been the site of UFO phenomenon, and I mean going back like
Yeah,
like with Skinwalker Ranch that we
Sure.
have here, like it just goes back to natives.
Yeah,
of,
right.
You know. And so I sat there and I stared at the mountain and I strummed my guitar for like 2 or 3 hours.
What
And
was
that's-
their reaction to the guitar and stuff down there? Were they
Oh.
any interested or?
When I was in Cuenca, there was
Yeah.
this Belgian brewery, and our friends had been frequent flyers there. They liked it, so we
Yeah.
would go there, watch the soccer games, and they didn't even have a kitchen, but somehow you can always get steak and frites, steak and fries with a little mayonnaise. That's how Belgians, I think,
yeah,
like
they
it.
do. They do.
And so we would go there, we'd eat that, and this guy would make the most delicious beer. I'm not like I don't think beer personally tastes like that
Yeah,
great.
right.
But when I say it was actually delicious,
Wow.
I'm not a fan of dark beer either.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
like dark iced tea color.
Yeah. Okay.
It was the most phenomenal beer. Faint sweetness,
Wow.
aroma.
Yeah, they
none of
really
that
know what
hoppy.
they're doing.
It's
That
totally
part of the world, they make some of the best beers.
ever.
Right.
And it was like art.
Belgium,
So-
Germany, Holland. Yeah.
I told the owner, I said, I play guitar, I do the blues and everything.
Yeah.
I don't know. And it was in this big square called Parque Calderon.
Okay.
And so everyone comes there. There's giant Zumba class. It's like a real cool scene.
Wow.
And I brought my guitar there and I did a little acoustic set.
Yeah.
And this just doesn't really happen for me up here.
Yeah,
but down
right.
there, everyone came, sat down, got beer, and I was playing like Kings of Leon, Rolling Stones, like
Wow.
all sorts of stuff. And everyone was like,
Yeah, right.
because I'm
right.
American, you know, like that's like hearing it from the horse's mouth. You
Sure,
know?
sure.
So,
Wow.
and then I decided I wanted to make a few extra bucks or at least get my beer for free.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, Mr. Carlos, would you mind if I came here and I worked a little bit?
Yeah.
And he was like, to be honest, like the wages are a little different.
Yeah,
you know?
right,
He's like,
right.
you're going to get like 25 cents a week.
Yeah, right.
And I was like, okay, but I can get a couple beers at least. And he was like, sure thing.
Yeah.
And so I would work there and wash the bottles. They reuse their bottles.
Yeah, right.
And so in the back of this, it was like a courtyard, and next door was where do nuns live? What is that called?
Not a monastery, a covenant or a covent.
It was
or
something like that,
Yeah.
and I was
Or,
out
that's
there.
a witch's covenant. I don't know.
Well, it was
what
a
Okay.
home for nuns,
Gotcha.
young girls who
Gotcha.
were.
Yeah.
And I was there washing these bottles and like listening to music,
Mm-hmm.
and all the girls came out and they were laughing like ah. There was like I'll never forget it. It
Yeah.
was so strange. But it was really cool, and I got to have my beautiful beers for free. And again with the beautiful, but it truly was. It was like
Yeah,
art.
well, it's great though. It just sounds like an
Sorry to
awesome
ramble
trip.
about
No,
it. I
was-
really love reliving
I've always
that,
been
though.
interested in that because you don't often hear about. Like I like to hear the reaction of people in other countries to Americans. You
Sure.
know, especially with what you.
Let me tell you this
see on the
much: I
news.
was met with so much respect,
Yeah.
so much hospitality.
Did
now,
they? What about for being a New Yorker? Did that play into it at all?
the
or
big
was it
question was where are the girls looking the best, California or New York?
Yeah.
And all the taxi drivers, because like Uber was like big down there before Uber even existed. Really,
Yeah.
Like,
See, that's the thing.
you
like,
were able, you could
I
make phone
find that
calls.
with a lot of these countries, like every time I look up a country online, I told you I'm a nut with that. I like to just like watch what it's like to walk around in like whatever random country around the world. And I noticed that a lot of these countries I'll think are so backwards out of my own stupidity. They have things that you wouldn't even think of, and they have they're already set up so well, such as Uber and
You were able to
know.
make a phone call.
Yeah.
And like a 1989 like red Honda Civic would be at your door. Like
Wow.
Not through Uber, just a phone call. Like,
yeah,
these-
yeah. That's
like
so great.
freelance taxi.
So great.
And they were great. They
Yeah.
were great. Hey, man, like, we're the girls the best. Everybody loves America.
Yeah.
And that's the big myth that we're
Yeah,
fed
it is
here.
a myth. It's like if you would listen to the news and listen to.
I
these-
went and lived it.
Yeah, these people. America's this It's like, guys, that's not.
Not true.
No.
And
no.
in case anyone could take a break from their traveling to Tuscany and
Yeah,
France,
right.
go somewhere different.
Yes.
Do me a favor. Stop thinking
Yeah.
you're a
Go
world
outside
traveler
of the
'cause you went to
resorts
Paris.
and
Right.
you know.
I went to this ruin
Amazing.
that was pre-Incan.
Mm.
I'm sorry that I can't remember the name. I
Uh-huh.
will get it, but it was pre-Incan and it was really high up in the mountains, and there was this valley,
The Andes Mountains, I think. Right?
Correct.
Is that what you're talking about? Right.
and it was called Ingapirca.
Okay.
And I saw firsthand
Mm-hmm.
these tremendous stones that everyone always talks about that are
Yeah. How did
hundreds
they
of
get up
tons.
there? Right.
And when I say it was the size of a city, it was the size of a city on top of mountains in the middle of nowhere
Yeah,
in the
it's-
Andes. There were cut no mortar.
Amazing.
You couldn't get a piece of paper through it. And I know that we've all heard this before.
Now those ruins, you mean, were the size of the city? Is that what you're like?
In other words, like it was an ancient city.
City just perched
in
on
the
top
middle of a valley on
yeah,
top
that
of mountains.
those types of things blow my mind. How they,
Yeah, and they had lunar calendars that were these giant boulders where they would carve
Yeah,
out like
yeah,
these fist-sized impressions and fill them with water, and they were able to do just so many things. There's a tree
Amazing. that's
that's native to the area that still grows there. When a woman became widowed,
Yeah.
they would make a potion from the leaves
Oh.
of this tree and have these suicide
Sure.
rituals.
Oh wow.
And it was amazing to learn all this.
Wow.
And that's where I want my life to go, to be honest with
Yeah.
you. I want to continue that because that journey is actual knowledge.
Going to you mean
Going-
traveling or living in
well,
Ecuador?
Not living in Ecuador,
Okay.
just seeing ruins and seeing history
Oh,
and
yeah.
culture.
Yeah,
People that
that's-
get to do that full time, I'm so I
Yeah.
don't want to say jealous, but God bless them really because that's
Archaeologists and
oh,
anthropologists and
phenomenal. And it's funny, the lower hat on the wall behind you, I actually got at that ruin.
Wow.
Now, what's funny about that is they know that tourists go there. So just imagine that hat costed $20.
Wow.
Right.
They were milking that, right?
Oh yeah, that was a lot of money even for
Yeah,
me.
yeah, right,
I was
right.
like, holy mackerel.
Yeah, yeah.
You pay $1 for lunch, you get 3 courses. You know what I mean? So $20 for a half.
No, they're not stupid.
No,
You know.
not even close. But I will tell you,
Their descendants built the city on top of the Andes, so you know that
Right.
they're not stupid.
and they have these unique little like sects that
Mm-hmm.
you don't even know exist. There's like these women that carry these bushels on their back. They're very short. They
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
wear these
yeah.
puffy dresses
Yes.
and they wear white fedoras.
Oh, okay.
And
I know in Bolivia they wear like a bowler's hat, like those black little like.
yeah,
You know.
it's like something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah,
It's just
that-
like, but it's different.
Yeah,
you know?
it's interesting. So
And
interesting.
You just see them like walking and like you don't know where the hell they're going.
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
carrying a big thing of hay on their
Wow.
back. And then there would be towns like this town Paute,
Uh-huh.
where we went, and there's 2 funny things about Paute. Actually, 3.
Mm-hmm.
The first thing is we were hungry, so we got lunch, and you see, what's that smell?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, there's like all these like burly Ecuadorian ladies with these giant metal grates with pigs
Wow.
split in half, you know, and they
Yeah.
like flip the grates and like, yeah, I'll take a plate.
Yeah.
They just rip the meat right off the pig with
Wow.
their hands, and
Wow.
they lettuce and tomatoes.
Yeah,
and,
yeah, yeah.
like those giant corn kernels with a big mountain of pork, and they just, here you go. And there was like, it was like a flea market filled with them. There was just pig everywhere.
Wow.
Then we walked into town,
Amazing.
and I see this guy sleeping in a wheelbarrow on the corner. Like, you just don't see that in
No.
America. Like, you know, maybe in like big cities you get
No, I get it,
But
though.
this guy was totally undisturbed.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
like total like
Just-
normalcy. Yeah,
yeah.
You're just sleeping,
Dreaming.
drunk as hell. It was
Yeah.
like 11 in the morning.
Yep.
And then we wanted a little dessert, and there's these vendors. It looks like they have ice cream carts.
Mm-hmm.
And it looked like strawberry ice cream.
Yeah.
And I guess that my friends knew they were just going to let me experience.
Oh, okay.
And so I'm like, okay, I'll take an ice cream, please.
Yeah.
And the guy's like, okay, here you go. And I taste it.
Yeah.
I'm like, "Bleh." It's like
Yeah.
egg custard at room temp.
Oh.
It was horrifying, but it looks like ice cream.
Oh, okay.
Some strange stuff. But yeah, that's
Yeah,
me
it's just
tell you.
it's an interesting, you know, when you look at how, again, you see a lot of people that just get so caught up in
the normal travel paths.
but even like being in this country, just the nonsense. Sometimes it's nice to just
Take a break.
go, take a break and see how the others live and see how.
I
you
couldn't
know,
agree more.
Something I never did enough of in my lifetime, but I'm glad that
You
when
can.
yes, I can, and I'm glad that one of my children, my oldest, has done it. But
I caught a lot of heat for doing it at the time. Everyone thought I was
Yeah.
kind of crazy.
yeah, but it was a
And,
good experience for
I would
you.
never take that back. That
No.
was the best thing. One of the best things I ever did.
Yeah,
And
it
it
sounds like
really boosted my ability to speak Spanish. It helped me in my culinary career.
Sure, sure.
And I met people that I'm never going to forget that I can't find anywhere on Facebook or anything.
Is their Spanish much different than Mexican Spanish?
You know,
or-
it's like they have different slang. But all in all, I would say it's
about the same.
about the same. Like in Mexican Spanish, there's like a big phrase called it says, no mames, güey, which
Oh.
means like no shit, no kidding.
Oh, okay, right.
And when you say that, like people automatically assume like you might be from the Mexican community.
Gotcha.
In Ecuador, they say chévere, which means cool.
Oh, okay.
Chévere.
So it's just like some street lingo is a little different.
I also had the good luck to visit the University of Cuenca, I believe.
Okay.
And one of the people that was hosting us, the brother of my friend's wife,
Yes.
went by Lucho, his name was.
Mm-hmm.
He was like this long-haired guy. He loved rock and roll, like classic rock
South
and flamenco.
Americans love.
Totally.
Love.
He played a nylon
rock
string
and roll.
guitar like
Yeah.
I'd never seen.
Yeah.
And what was amazing about Lucho was he was just about a rocket scientist.
Yeah.
And this was the first time I ever discovered what 3D printing was. Now, you know how long ago this was.
Yeah,
It's like
sure.
almost like 10 years at
Yeah,
this point. They were using equipment that was donated from Italy
Wow.
that was like kind of like prehistoric in
Yeah,
Italy.
right.
That's why they got rid of it. But they were able to turn it into like cutting
Oh,
edge
yeah.
3D
No,
printing
they-
stuff. And like they gave me this grand tour of this university.
Amazing.
And I'm thinking to myself, I'm a freaking idiot. I
Yeah.
never even went to college. So what the, but it was like,
Amazing.
it was just such respect.
Yeah.
And I tried to give them as much respect and support them. And unfortunately, what you run into down there is they want to be educated and they can't obtain tools to further that.
Can you imagine these idiots that America sucks and America?
These people are dying to just get an old school computer.
These mental midgets in this country.
I know. That's why I have the views that I have, because I've seen suffering.
You should throw their parents in jail. Some of these kids.
Right.
Throw them in jail.
They don't know how good
CPS
they got
should rip the kids right out of there and give them some real parents.
And the girl I was dating at the time, her father, who was from this land, said, "Let me tell you something." He said, because at the time I was in my kind of liberal, wacky ways.
Okay.
He said, "Let me tell you, you're going to come back to this country, and you will never forget
Yes, you had mentioned
how
that.
good you got it here."
Yeah.
And I'll repeat that to the day I die.
Yeah,
I didn't believe him.
amazing. It's amazing.
I didn't believe him. I was like, "Oh, okay, whatever." I didn't care.
Yeah.
I was just,
there are a lot of people that do travel and are fortunate enough, but like I said, and you've pointed out, they just go to the tourist destinations and they go to the resorts and they're on the route that is.
Oftentimes they start construction on buildings and they never finish.
Yes.
So you see a lot of unfinished.
Yeah, they're just
It's kind of
shells,
scary, actually. There's a lot of wild dogs. They don't have a very good program to like quell, like stray dogs.
So they just
roam.
Are they vicious dogs or are they like?
No, but they're sick.
Yeah.
And you don't want them to come near you.
Yeah.
Because their eyes are sunken. Like they got problems.
Yeah.
Some of them are big. Some of them also drink that weird river water that has like the brain-eating bacteria and parasites.
Poor things.
And they're not really that environmentally friendly. We were right behind this giant river where we were staying. And every time, at a certain point of the day, every day you would get this reek odor of like death.
Wow.
Coming down from the river, because they just dump their waste into the river. Yeah. And let me tell you, you want to talk about a raging river?
Yeah.
In your backyard?
Yeah.
It's insane. It's like mountain river, runoff. So
can't swim in or
absolutely not. You'll die.
Yeah.
You'll die. Not from even the bacteria, from the force of the water.
Yeah. And these dogs drink out of this?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. So I don't know if I told you, but they have like every house has like a wall around.
Do a lot of them have dogs as pets down there, or are
Sure.
they? Okay, they do. Okay.
But there's just not a good government response to like handling social issues like that.
No, they don't have the money.
They're lucky they even have a garbage.
Yeah, the infrastructure is not.
It's
that's
really
where,
awful.
That's where you see the difference in
between
America
socialism
and a lot of other
and
countries.
capitalism.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And I encourage people to look into that.
Yeah,
I
weak
saw
infrastructure. Yep.
And so what they do is they're on the walls outside of their house. They have these like platforms that open, and you put your garbage on there. So that the dogs, because what dogs do with garbage, they rip. So literally everyone has to elevate their garbage because there's so many wild dogs.
So if you walk out of your house, chances are you'll see
a dog.
Really?
Yeah, walking around.
Do they come up?
Some
to
of them
humans?
look really sick.
Or do they just?
They're different dogs.
That's what I'm asking.
They'll see you and they just are like coexisting with you.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
They
don't even give a shit.
Okay.
Yeah. Because people don't feed. People try to avoid them and they don't feed them because they don't want to promote like.
So sad.
Yeah, it really is. It's a very strange. That was one of the weirdest things ever. Actually, seeing that, I was like, "Holy crap!" Like
it was that many dogs.
That many dogs. Totally not uncommon. And this was like a suburban neighborhood.
Wow. And they would just see that I have trouble. Like what about cats? Was there a lot of like feral
cats? Are always cats. They do what they do and they hide and.
But you don't see.
It wasn't anything.
Dogs, you see a lot of
dogs. Big ones, little ones, 2 or 3 of them that look the same, walking around, like very, very unique. And I'm sure I would bet if someone who was from there was watching this video, they could probably they would attest to that. It's true. But
very sad, but like you said, that's where you see the difference in a lot of the other countries that are below America as far as the standing in the world. Just the infrastructure is just not
it's not there,
not able to compete. So.
And these university kids, who I regarded as some of the most enlightened thinkers I've ever met, were willing to vote for whoever the candidate was who can get them a computer.
Well,
that's scary to me, and I understand it. But at the same token, that's the problem.
That's what life comes down to. And again, even for the, bringing it back to where we were talking about before, when you're affected directly by something, that's when you'll move to action.
Correct.
That's when So.
And I remember there was, at the time, I believe the president's name there was Rafael Correa.
Correa.
And I remember seeing this like propaganda poster, and now this is a very poor country.
Yeah.
And here this guy is
High
wearing,
indigenous population in this country, or are they more European type?
ridiculous amount of indigenous.
Okay.
And actually, I got to meet some people from the rainforest who were in this exchange program.
Wow.
And let me tell you, different vibes.
Yes.
They're not like
Yeah, so
us. They're just
So
they're
interesting.
pure.
Yeah.
They're
so
very
interesting.
pure. They're so innocent looking.
Yeah.
It's so weird. And
That
they-
is a trip that more people should take. Something
I
like that. Yeah.
cannot stress that enough.
Yeah.
I itch to do it again.
Yeah, the value of something like that versus going somewhere and staying in a resort.
Right, going to a
Yeah.
chateau. Like, come on, do something
You
worth
could do
your
that
while.
on your own. That to me is more of a vacation than, I just.
Right, and that's why when people try to step on my toes and tell me
Yeah.
that I don't know, no, I
Yeah,
do know. What
yeah.
do you know?
Right. No, but that's, yeah. I mean, you could gain so much knowledge from when you travel, but you really don't when you
This
just
is when I began becoming a chef, by the
stay
way.
in these resorts.
Right,
Yeah. Well, it's really interesting. So.
it really is. But so with that, that was
Yeah.
a nice time.
Yeah, I
We're at an
appreciate appreciate the info. I've always wanted to ask you about it, so there's no better time than then. So
Yeah, there's certainly the pros.
Thank you.
There's the cons. There's
no, thank you. I got a good overview.
one.
of it,
All right,
so.
one more thing. We went trout fishing up in the mountains. It's called Cajas National Park, and you can drink the water from the rivers
Wow.
because it's all ice.
Sure, runoff from the
And there's
higher
no.
elevation.
But one thing I would like to say is there was cows that are up there, and maybe 100 years ago, people built a little cow house. It's not manned.
Yeah,
It's just a place for the cows to
go
come and
and-
hide from the storms. And one thing I found to be really fascinating is I had my eye on this one particular cow off in the distance. I think it was a bull. And they move really slow, but the landscape never ended. And this cow just kept going and going
Wow.
and going and at a
Yeah.
slug's pace and eventually just disappeared.
Wow.
Where was he going?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's amazing. They have so much free grazing area.
reign and-
the
yeah.
bridges are all these you'll be crossing over a raging
River.
river.
Yeah.
And someone built like a bridge for these cows to get across,
Oh,
but
that's
you're
great.
walking over it and
Yeah,
it's like terrifying.
sure.
There's no nails. It's just
Yeah,
two
yeah.
by fours and it's
Amazing.
really, really scary.
Amazing.
But we came across this little farmhouse up there and there was cow pies everywhere,
Yeah.
But our friend Pablo, he was a man from Spain who was
Oh.
opening up some law firms down there.
Wow.
And he's the one that actually got me interested in being a chef.
Sure.
He brought this doctor's bag of goodies. Oh, he always did that. He always
Yeah.
had this really professional. It looked like an old school doctor's
Yeah,
bag.
right.
Open it up. He had beautiful beef filet mignons. He had cheese and he had a bottle of wine. He made a fire, and we literally ate fresh trout.
Yeah. Yeah.
We had surf and turf in the middle of the mountains.
Wow.
With wine and cheese. Now,
Amazing.
if that isn't living,
Yeah.
I don't know what is.
That beats a resort, any day from my book.
you just can't
Amazing.
mess with that.
Amazing.
So with that, we're gonna leave you guys, and peace and love to all.
Same time, same place tomorrow.
That's it. We'll talk to you soon.
Have a
Take
good
care,
day.
everyone.
Bye.